This week I had one of those aha moments, or in this instance it was more like a, oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't realize that. And if you're a person who's in ministry, a missionary, a pastor, then you might want to hear what I'm about to share, because you might be doing the same thing I was doing. And it comes down to this question of, am I effective? Am I doing a good job? Am I fruitful in ministry? And how we judge what we're doing. I was doing it, now looking back, obviously wrong, but I think it's too easy to find ourselves in this trap that I found myself in. And so I want to share with you guys, hoping that you can find freedom and walk forward in a better place with how you judge yourself, your fruitfulness, your ministry. That's what we're talking about today on the vlog. That thing is huge.
My name's Avi.
I realized we've been on the field for 5 years this week, and it felt like the right time to connect with our partners and say thank you for 5 years, and even to sort of give like a report or like a look back over the last 5 years. And honestly, the idea of doing that sounded fun in a way, but it also sounded like, crap, what am I gonna say? And so I was just asking the Lord, like, what do I say, Lord? Because honestly, I've got mixed feelings about the last 5 years. I think there's a part of me that could say they've been really fruitful, or I don't feel like we've failed. But then I look at what that actual fruit is, like what we've accomplished, what we've done, and I don't know if it sounds impressive. I don't know if it's like the kind of fruit that our supporters were thinking that we would get. Really, it's even hard to throw it on them. I don't know if it's the kind of fruit that I was thinking that we would get. And so this idea of evaluating the last 5 years, like, it's this wrestled question of like, have we been failing? Have we done something wrong? Should we have been more fruitful? And as I was talking to the Lord about this, he straight up just started rebuking me and showing me how I was looking at this all wrong. Where are your clothes at? Look at Bella doing a good job. What God was highlighting to me was that I was actually judging what he was doing, what he was working on. I was actually judging his plans. You see, our approach to missions has been, God, you tell us to do what to do and we'll do it. And over the course of our 5 years in missions, there's been times when the Lord's told us to do something and we tried to do it on our own, and it wasn't as successful as it could have been had we really partnered with the Lord all the way through. One of the main lessons I learned in Norway was, you don't just do the category of what the Lord's telling you to do. You have to do it with Him. You have to walk through the details, the daily struggle of what you're doing with Him. It's not just take the category and go do it yourself. But even in the midst of that, we have been on a journey of faith. We've been on a journey of saying yes as best as we know how to what we sense Him saying to do. And so there's been so many things that God has done to show Himself faithful to us. But sometimes I look at the fruit, like the number of people that are saved, or the number of people whose lives are changed, and I start to think, is that worth all the money we've raised? Is that worth all the time we've spent? Is that worth our supporters' money? Should they be supporting somebody else who's more fruitful in ministry? And what the Lord was saying to me was, you're judging what I'm doing. I'm inviting you by faith to say yes to me, to do something that doesn't fully make sense to you. And you have to trust me with the timing, with the fruit, with the process, believing that what I'm asking you to do is valuable. And maybe there's a season where it's not fruitful, but you need to trust me. You need to say yes to me, regardless of how fruitful it feels. And what I realized was that I'm not judging our work, what we've done, according to faith. I'm judging it according to fear of man. I'm actually taking what I think the supporters are saying, or really it's what I'm saying, and saying it's not enough. What I realized was that I'm approaching what we're doing from a posture of faith, a posture of God, you tell us what to do, we'll do it. But then I'm judging what God's doing. I'm evaluating what God's doing. And so I don't know how this could fit for you, but it's been crippling for me. Like, I've felt this weight of, I've got to write these newsletters that make it sound like we're doing all this amazing stuff. And there has been stuff that we've done that's good. But, hey guys, have you finished your job? You clean the windows? You ready for me to go down there and evaluate the clean? No.
I ate a banana, but it did not.
Okay. The Bible has something to say about this topic. I know it's Paul, but I'm trying to remember where it is. I don't even judge myself. Bible verse. 1 Corinthians 4. This is how I read the Bible a lot. Let's go look it up. 4:3. Then I go to Bible app. 1 Corinthians 4:3. Why is Google better at searching than Bible app? This then is how you ought to regard us, as servants of Christ, as those entrusted with the mysteries God has revealed. Now it is required that those who have been given a trust must prove faithful. I care very little if I am judged by you or by any human court. Indeed, I do not even judge myself. My conscience is clear, but that does not make me innocent. It is the Lord who judges me. Therefore, judge nothing before the appointed time. Wait until the Lord comes. He will bring to light what is hidden in darkness and will expose the motives of the heart. At that time, each will receive their praise from God. Obviously, it's important that I'm faithful, that I'm not wasting my time, that I'm not doing stuff that doesn't matter or doesn't have significance. But how do I determine what matters and what doesn't? How does my ministry have a fighting chance at succeeding? I believe that it's at the direction of the Lord. You see, we can't operate a ministry based off of our own sense of what success looks like. We can't operate it based off of what we think matters. We have to operate it based off of what the Bible says matters and based off of what the Lord has called us to do. The Lord's called us into media's ministry, and I've spent a lot of my time over the last 5 years trying to do what the Lord has said to do. And sometimes I've succeeded, sometimes I've failed. And the Lord was actually highlighting to me, look back over this past season and see all these faith journeys, all these faith steps that you've taken where I've proved faithful, where I've done things, and don't judge those things that I've done as being not significant enough because we don't see fruit from them. The reality is that I do see fruit. A lot of it's in me, but not all of it. And I see a God doing a significant work, and I see value in it. I just don't know if I can convince other people of that value right now. But that's not what my job is to do. My job is to walk by faith and look back and see the faithfulness of God as I've walked out in faith. And we can see markers of the faithfulness of God. We can see that God is leading us in this journey. And the message that I have to bring to the supporters is, here's how it's going on this journey of faith. Here's where we're struggling. Here's where we're being challenged. Here's where we're asking questions. Pray with us. Join with us in this faith journey. We're not being paid to procure certain missions objectives in the next 2 years, in the next 5 years. We're being given, we're being partnered with in faith. And you look in the Bible, there's so many times when that faith didn't turn into fruit very quickly. We trust God with the fruit. We have to be faithful stewards. I don't get to just say, well, the faith is coming, or I don't even get to ignore the reality of fruit or ignore the reality of the weight of stewarding my call. But I can't hold the weight of it on this month and say, if there's no fruit this month, I'm not successful. The Lord is the only one who can see my heart, who can see if I'm walking in faithfulness, if I'm stewarding well, if I'm wrestling with fruitfulness as is appropriate right now in a faith expression. And the dividing line in my heart and what the Lord's really made clear to me is, you can't walk this with fear of man in the mix. You can't take what I'm asking you to do by faith and judge it according to how it looks to other people. You have to judge it according to what I say about it. And that's the mistake I've been making. I've been trying to follow Jesus, but I've also been trying to make sure that it looks good to people, that it makes sense to people. And the Lord's like, you can't do both. You have to, and it's really about my heart. I don't have a supporter out there calling me saying, where's your fruit? What are you doing? What's happening? I mean, I've had a few that have asked questions around that, but even if I've got a supporter who's going to leave us over us not looking fruitful enough, my faithfulness, I'm answering not my supporters, I'm answering God over whether I've been faithful with what he's entrusted to me. Here on this channel, that's what I'm wrestling with. I'm wrestling with my call. I'm wrestling with how do I be a good steward of it? How do I clarify it? How do I step into it? And if that is the journey you're on, if you're wrestling with a call, join with me on this journey. Share with me what you're struggling with. Share with me how this particular issue, how you've wrestled with it, or where this hits you. Here is a link to the live stream where we share some of the faith stories, some of the faithfulness of God as we've taken steps of faith over the last 5 years. We go into more detail on that in this video.